Shalom, I'm Rabbi Isaac Rothman, and people always ask me for the secret. They want one big move, one brilliant investment, one dramatic moment where everything suddenly changed. They want a story that sounds impressive at dinner parties, but the truth is far less exciting. And far more important. There was no breakthrough, no genius trade, no single decision that made me wealthy overnight. What built my fortune was almost invisible. Small habits, boring habits, repeated quietly every single day for decades. Most people dismiss them because they feel too simple to matter. That's exactly why they work. While others chase complexity, headlines, and shortcuts, these habits compound silently in the background. Today, I'm going to share 9 of them with you. These aren't just my habits. These are the habits I've observed in every wealthy Jewish family I've worked with over 40 years. The habits that have been passed down through generations. The habits that explain why certain families stay wealthy while others rise and fall. And the final one, the habit people resist the most, may be the very reason most never build real wealth. Stay with me. This matters more than you think. Let's start with the habit that has shaped my life more than any other. Habit 1. Read every single day for hours. This isn't casual reading. This isn't scrolling through articles on your phone. This is focused, deliberate reading. Annual reports, financial statements, history books, biographies, philosophy, anything that expands your understanding of how the world actually works. When I was starting on Wall Street, I would read between 400 and 600 pages every single day. People think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. My office has always looked strange to visitors. No bank of computer monitors, no television showing market movements, just stacks of reading material everywhere. My grandfather was the same way. He read for 3 to 4 hours every day until he died at 87. Newspapers, books, religious texts. He said reading was how he saw around corners, how he anticipated what others couldn't see coming. This habit compounds like interest. Every day, you go to bed a little smarter than when you woke up. Over decades, that daily improvement becomes an enormous advantage. You start seeing patterns others miss, connections others can't make, opportunities others don't recognize. The Talmud teaches that we should study Torah every day, morning and evening. This wasn't just spiritual instruction. It was practical wisdom. The habit of daily learning creates minds that can navigate complexity, minds that can adapt to change, minds that can build and preserve wealth across generations. Most adults in America read fewer than 5 books per year. The average person spends hours on social media, but minutes on genuine learning. Meanwhile, the knowledge gap between readers and non-readers widens every single day. I've never known a wealthy person who didn't read constantly, not one. In 40 years of managing money for the richest families in America, every single one had this habit. Start with 30 minutes daily. Build from there. Let the compound effect work over years. But reading alone isn't enough. The second habit determines whether that knowledge actually gets used. Habit 2. Think deliberately and often alone. This sounds almost ridiculous to say out loud. Everyone thinks, right? No. Most people react. They don't think. They're so busy consuming information, responding to messages, attending meetings, that they never stop to actually process anything. I spend a significant portion of my day just sitting and thinking. No phone, no distractions. Just me and my thoughts. Sometimes for hours. My grandfather called this the quiet time. Every afternoon, between 2 and 4, he would sit alone in his study. No interruptions allowed. His children knew not to disturb him. His wife would hold all visitors. I asked him once what he did during those hours. He said, "Isaac, I argue with myself. I take a decision I'm considering and I attack it from every angle. I try to prove myself wrong. If I can't, maybe it's a good decision. If I can, I've saved myself from a mistake." This habit is becoming endangered. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. Every notification fractures concentration. Every distraction prevents deep thinking. The people who can actually sit with difficult problems and think them through have an enormous advantage. They're becoming rare. Be one of them. When I was managing portfolios on Wall Street, my colleagues thought I was strange. They were constantly moving, trading, reacting. I would sit for hours, sometimes days, just thinking about a single investment decision. They laughed at me. Many of them are broke now. I'm not. Schedule thinking time. Protect it ruthlessly. Some days, thinking is the most productive thing you can do. Habit 3. Take care of your body like it's irreplaceable, because it is. Here's how I explain this to young people. Imagine at 16, you're given one car. That's it. One car for your entire life. No replacements, no upgrades. That car has to last 80 years. How would you treat it? You'd read the manual, change the oil religiously, keep it in a garage. Never abuse it. That car is your body and your mind. You only get one. There are no replacements. The Talmud says, physical health and well-being are part of serving God. This wasn't metaphorical. The sages understood that you cannot build anything lasting if your body fails. You cannot think clearly if your health deteriorates. You cannot compound wealth if you die early. My grandfather lived to 87. His brother lived to 92. His father lived to 89. This wasn't genetics alone. It was habits. They walked daily. They slept well. They managed stress through prayer and study. They maintained mental sharpness through constant learning. I've prioritized low stress, good sleep, constant mental engagement. At 68, I'm still making major decisions, still reading for hours, still engaged with complex problems. That's not luck. That's the compound effect of treating my body and mind as irreplaceable assets. Health is wealth, not metaphorically, literally. A billionaire with dementia can't enjoy anything they built. A millionaire with cancer would trade everything for health. Protect your health like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Habit 4. Say no to almost everything. Most people say yes too often. They accept every invitation, take every meeting, chase every opportunity. Their calendars fill up, their attention fragments, their energy depletes. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. This isn't about being rude. It's about protecting your most valuable resource, time. Every yes is a no to something else. Every commitment consumes hours you can never recover. I turn down the vast majority of requests I receive. Speaking engagements, board positions, investment opportunities, social events, not because they're bad opportunities, because they're not the best use of my limited time. My grandfather had a rule. Before saying yes to anything, he would ask himself, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer was no, he declined. Simple, ruthless, effective. When you say no to the merely good, you create space for the truly great. Most people are so busy with average activities that exceptional opportunities can't find room in their schedule. Proverbs teaches, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Diligence means focus. Hasty means scattered. The person who says yes to everything is hasty. The person who says no to almost everything is diligent. Protect your time more carefully than your money. Money can be earned back. Time cannot. Habit 5. Keep a written record of your thinking. When I make an investment decision, I write down why, not a summary, a detailed explanation of my reasoning, what I expect to happen, why I expect it, what would prove me wrong. Then I save it. Years later, I can go back and review my thinking, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, understand why. This habit creates a feedback loop that accelerates learning. Most people make decisions and immediately forget their reasoning. When the outcome arrives, they can't remember what they were thinking. They can't learn from their mistakes because they've lost the record of their original logic. Writing forces clarity. If you can't explain your reasoning in writing, you don't actually understand your reasoning. The vagueness in your thinking becomes obvious when you try to put it on paper. My grandfather kept a ledger his entire life. Every significant financial decision, every business transaction, every investment. He would write the date, the decision, and his reasoning. Sometimes just a few sentences, sometimes several pages. When he died, that ledger was one of his most valuable possessions. I inherited it. I still read it sometimes, not for the specific decisions, which are now irrelevant, for the thinking patterns, for the mental models, for the wisdom embedded in how he approached problems. Start writing down your financial decisions, what you bought, why, what you expect. In 5 years, review those notes. The self-education will be invaluable. Habit 6. Surround yourself with people better than you. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. This isn't motivational poster nonsense. It's measurable reality. Studies show that income, habits, and even health spread through social networks. If your closest friends are ambitious, you become more ambitious. If they're lazy, you drift toward laziness. If they're ethical, you maintain higher standards. If they're not, yours slip. The Talmud teaches, make for yourself a teacher, acquire for yourself a friend. Notice the language. Make a teacher, acquire a friend. This is deliberate action, not passive acceptance of whoever happens to be nearby. I've been incredibly fortunate in my partnerships. I've worked with people smarter than me my entire career. Better readers, clearer thinkers, more experienced investors. Every conversation with them made me better. Being around excellence raises your standards unconsciously. You start expecting more from yourself. You start seeing what's possible. You start believing you can achieve it. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel came to me in his late 20s. Smart kid, good instincts. But his circle of friends was holding him back. They mocked his ambition, called him greedy for wanting to build wealth, encouraged him to relax, enjoy life, stop working so hard. I told him something my grandfather told me. Isaac, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Daniel started attending investment clubs, joined professional organizations, found mentors willing to teach him. Within 5 years, his income had tripled, not because he suddenly became smarter, because his environment raised his standards. Audit your social circle. Are these people lifting you up or holding you back? Are they expanding your thinking or reinforcing your limitations? This doesn't mean abandoning old friends. It means being intentional about adding relationships that challenge and improve you. Habit 7. Live far below your means. I know people who earn $1 million a year and have nothing saved. I know people who earned $50,000 a year and retired wealthy. The difference isn't income. It's the gap between earning and spending. The average American household earning 6 figures often has less than $20,000 saved. They earn substantial incomes and spend almost all of it. They're rich in income, poor in wealth. My grandfather came to America with nothing. Within 20 years, he was wealthy. Not because he earned a huge salary, because he spent almost nothing. He used to say, Isaac, the money you don't spend is worth more than the money you earn. The money you earn gets taxed. The money you don't spend gets invested. He wore the same suits for decades, drove the same car until it stopped running, lived in the same modest house his entire life. His neighbors thought he was struggling. They had no idea. When you live below your means, every dollar you save becomes capital that works for you. Every dollar you spend is a dollar that can never compound. The gap between earning and spending is the raw material of wealth. Most people try to narrow that gap. Nice cars, bigger houses, expensive vacations. I widened it relentlessly. And so did every wealthy family I've ever worked with. This habit requires no skill, no special knowledge, just the discipline to spend less than you earn by a significant margin. Start today. Track your spending. Find the waste. Redirect those dollars to investments. This single habit will contribute more to your wealth than any investment strategy ever invented. Habit 8. Make decisions slowly and rarely. Most people make too many decisions. They're constantly buying and selling, switching strategies, chasing the latest thing. Activity feels productive. It's usually destructive. The best investors make very few decisions, but the decisions they make are carefully considered and held for decades. In my entire career, I've probably made 20 investment decisions that really mattered, 20 decisions across 40 years. The rest was noise. When I find a great business at a fair price, I buy and I hold, sometimes for decades, sometimes forever. I'm not constantly trading in and out. I'm not reacting to every piece of news. I'm not trying to time markets. I'm making rare decisions and sticking with them. This is incredibly difficult for most people. They feel like they should be doing something. The market went down. Should I sell? A new hot stock appeared. Should I buy? Almost always the answer is no. Do nothing. My grandfather had a saying, "The money is made in the waiting, not in the doing." He would research an investment for months before making a decision. Then he would hold it for years without touching it. Studies show that the most frequently traded accounts dramatically underperform accounts that barely trade at all. Activity isn't progress. Often it's the opposite. Make fewer decisions, make them better, hold them longer. Habit 9. Enjoy what you do. This is the habit people resist most. They think it's soft, irrelevant, something for people who don't need to work. They're wrong. It's the most important habit of all. I wake up every morning excited to read, to think, to work on problems I find interesting. I've felt this way for 40 years. This isn't an accident, it's a choice, a deliberate habit of arranging my life around activities I genuinely enjoy. When you love what you do it more. You do it better. You do it longer. You don't burn out. You don't need motivation. The activity itself is the reward. The Talmud teaches a person should always engage in a trade that appeals to him. This wasn't just about job satisfaction. It was about sustainability. The person who hates their work will eventually quit, fail, or destroy their health through stress. The person who loves their work will outperform everyone around them simply through persistence. Let me tell you about 2 clients I had early in my career. The first was Richard. Richard was a corporate lawyer at a prestigious firm. He hated every minute of it, but the money was good, so he stayed. 30 years of grinding through work that made him miserable. He retired wealthy at 62 and died at 64. Heart attack. His doctor said chronic stress was a major factor. The second was Samuel. Samuel ran a small accounting firm. Nothing glamorous, but he loved numbers, loved helping small businesses, loved the puzzle of tax optimization. Samuel is still working at 78, not because he needs the money, because he genuinely enjoys it. His health is excellent, his mind is sharp, his wealth continues to compound because he never stopped. Same intelligence, same opportunity, completely different outcomes. The difference was enjoyment. I understand not everyone can immediately quit their job and follow their passion. That's not what I'm suggesting. Start noticing what activities energize you versus drain you. Gradually shift your life toward more of the first and less of the second. Over years and decades, arrange your career and finances to maximize enjoyment. This creates a virtuous cycle. Enjoying work leads to better work. Better work leads to more opportunities. More opportunities lead to more choices. More choices allow more enjoyment. The opposite cycle is vicious. Hating work leads to worse work. Worse work leads to fewer opportunities. Fewer opportunities mean fewer choices. Fewer choices mean continued suffering. Break the cycle. Start making choices that increase daily enjoyment. Small choices at first, gradually larger ones. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You don't get a second attempt. Design a life you actually want to live. Now let me bring all 9 habits together. Read daily to build knowledge that compounds. Think deliberately to actually use what you learn. Protect your health as your most valuable asset. Say no to almost everything to create space for what matters. Write down your thinking to accelerate learning from experience. Surround yourself with people better than you. Live far below your means to maximize wealth-building capacity. Make decisions slowly and rarely, but execute them with conviction. Enjoy what you do so you can sustain effort for decades. None of these habits require genius. None require special access. None require luck. They require discipline, consistency, patience. The same qualities that turn small investments into fortunes turn small habits into extraordinary lives. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, "Rabbi, these all make sense, but I'm already busy. I don't have time to read for hours. I don't have time to sit and think. I don't have time to add more habits." Here's my answer. You don't have time not to do these things. The hours you spend scrolling social media could be spent reading. The meetings that accomplish nothing could be replaced with thinking time. The money you spend on things you don't need could fund your financial freedom. It's not a time problem, it's a priority problem. Or maybe you're thinking, these habits are too simple. Building wealth must require something more sophisticated. Here's the truth. The most sophisticated people I know follow the simplest habits. The complexity is a distraction. The gurus who sell complicated systems make money from your confusion, not your success. Simple works, simple compounds, simple wins. In the comments, tell me, which of these 9 habits is your weakest? Which one will you start implementing this week? If this changed how you think about building wealth, subscribe. Next week, I'm going to teach you the 3 beliefs that keep people poor even when they earn good incomes. Mental traps that destroy wealth before it can be built, and how to escape them. Remember, extraordinary wealth is built through ordinary habits executed with extraordinary consistency. Not genius, not luck, consistency. Shalom. And may your wealth grow as your wisdom does. But before you go, I need to tell you why most people will fail to implement any of this, and how to make sure you're not one of them. The problem isn't understanding. You understood everything I said. It all made sense. You agreed with it. You may have even felt motivated, but motivation fades. Understanding doesn't equal action, and action doesn't equal consistency. Most people will watch this video and change nothing. They'll agree with everything I said, then continue doing what they've always done. They'll mean to start reading more. They'll intend to think more deliberately. They'll plan to live below their means, and nothing will happen. Here's what I've learned in 40 years of advising people on money. The gap between knowing and doing is where wealth dies. Everyone knows they should save more. Almost nobody does. Everyone knows they should invest consistently. Almost nobody does. Everyone knows they should make decisions slowly. Almost nobody does. Knowledge without action is entertainment. It makes you feel good without changing anything. So let me give you the one thing that actually works. Don't try to implement all 9 habits at once. That's a recipe for failure. Pick one, just one. The one that would make the biggest difference in your life right now. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's living below your means. Maybe it's saying no more often. Focus on that one habit for 30 days. Make it automatic. Make it part of who you are, not just something you do. Then add another. Layer these behaviors over years, not weeks. Let them compound, just like money compounds. My grandfather built his wealth over 40 years through habits he started in his 20s. I've built mine over 40 years through habits I started in my 20s. The wealthy families I've worked with have maintained wealth for generations through habits that get passed down like heirlooms. This isn't about dramatic transformation, it's about small improvements sustained over decades. That's how fortunes are actually built. One more thing, and this might be the most important thing I say. You will fail at these habits. Repeatedly. You'll miss days of reading. You'll spend money you shouldn't. You'll make hasty decisions. You'll say yes when you should say no. That's normal. That's human. That's not the problem. The problem is when you use failure as an excuse to quit, when you miss one day of reading and decide the habit isn't for you, when you overspend once and decide living below your means is impossible. The wealthy aren't people who never fail at their habits. They're people who return to their habits after failing, again and again and again, until the habit becomes stronger than the failure. My grandfather used to say, "Fall 7 times, stand up 8. That's not just Japanese wisdom. That's how wealth is built. You will fall. The question is whether you'll stand up. Now go. Pick your one habit. Start this week, and I'll see you next week.